They were a week from going. Not many people know this, but Lions were a week from going under and getting turned into a rugby league club. So.
Proportions that belongs in a different galaxy altogether.
Welcome back to the second half of the fourth episode of the series. I think we'd all agree Leo was as controversial as ever.
Leo's been a
living legend.
No doubt we've by this point had to answer a couple of comments on the Facebook page, but that's Leo. That's the way he is, and we love him for it. Our second guest today is probably one of the most decorated coaches in Queensland history, you'd have to say, and we'll talk through the career with him. Welcome, Warren Moon.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having
me.
Yeah. We'll dive straight in because I know you've got to get to work.
Yep.
So let's talk about the beginning of, I suppose, your love for football back in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Talk us through how you ended up in Brisbane.
Oh, look, it was obviously a family decision. I was quite young at the time, so the family decided to emigrate to Australia, just like many families did, like yourself. Came out here quite young, hated the lack of football, the lack of English Premier League when I arrived, but then you sort of adapt to Brisbane life, Australian life, and you realise how good it is. But that was pretty much my story. And then we settled in Brisbane, and junior football, Taringa Rovers started there early for me, and then Lions, and then built on into professional football.
Cool. At what age did you realise that you were a chance of going pro?
Well, I always wanted to. Like every other kid or young player that wants to play professionally, you always want to. Probably realised I was a chance. Well, you don't ever really know, but that last season at Lions, where I think I was 18, 19, was doing really well in the local league, and there was a bit of interest with the strikers, and I think at the time South Melbourne in the NSL. So I kind of felt like maybe I had a chance, and eventually it was the strikers I went to, being at home, closer to home. So signed there, and I was happy to.
Yeah, and me not being around at that time, the A-League must have not been too far after that.
Yeah, there was pretty much the season beyond.
You went overseas before that. Did you go across to?
No, that was after the A-League.
Yeah,
that was so it was the NSL. Then it was transitioned into the A-League, and then I ended up in Scotland after that. Yeah,
how long for?
Just over a year, I think, in Scotland. Yeah.
How was the weather?
Shit. No, I find it boring. I know we're going to talk about my playing career, but I get bored by it because, like anyone else, it was. I tried to play professional football. I did. I achieved my goals, but I was like thousands of others. Played the game. I loved the game. Achieved what I wanted, but I wasn't a superstar. So it was a good experience. If I had my time again, I probably would have stayed and played in the A-League, because I think I would certainly wouldn't have experienced the conditions I had over there with the training conditions, living conditions, and ended my career with the injury I got. Really came back and played locally, but it was never the same. Couldn't run, couldn't get around the park like I wanted to, and it's probably why I did transition into coaching earlier than I expected, because I knew my groin was never going to get better. Yeah.
Well, let's focus on the coaching, because it's in the coaching field that you've excelled, you'd have to say. So first coaching gig.
First coaching gig was when I came back. I was doing some junior coaching before I left. I quite enjoyed that. So when I came back broken, came back injured. So I ended up helping Alan Waller at Taringa Rovers in the old Brisbane Premier League, and my brother was there at the time and some people I knew. So instead of just sitting in the house not doing anything, I went out on a Tuesday and a Thursday night and helped as an assistant coach, and got the bug for it there.
Yeah, didn't that give you a good footing in it?
Yeah, it was great. It was good because I went there to help Alan, and he was really good. He actually just gave me things to do straight into it. So I don't think that's not every coach is accommodating as that. No. So he gave me parts of the session. Was in senior football at the time, and I had just come from overseas and was keen and hungry to sort of get in and around it and see what I can do. So it was fun. It was a good experience, and I was still injured and I was wanting to play again. I didn't know how bad at the time my injury was, but rightly or wrongly, after that season I stupidly took the role of Eastern Suburbs and locked myself in for another year as a coach/player coach. So which led me to meeting melon heads over here like this guy and coaching people of Tommy's level.
Yeah,
that's it. Not much of a level.
No, mate. What a player you were, I have to say. What a keeper you were at... how old were you then? 18?
I was 18, 19, yeah.
Actually, I digress, but I think... I'm not just saying this because, but you were some keeper back then, I think. When did you have the first knee injury?
21.
Yeah.
21.
I think if you'd have stayed healthy, you would have...
Thanks, Warren. Lucky I didn't. I definitely didn't stay healthy.
I just want to say, I saw you come across as pre-ACL, and then since you've been playing, you're like a rusted battleship. The way you come across as now, but back then you were agile. You were sharp.
I was agile. Hopefully I'll get back to something like that now.
Yeah.
So how did you go with Easts? Was it 1 year there?
Yeah, well, my memories was it was a great experience. It was, I think, TC would say he stayed there for many years after that. We had a good group of players there. It was a really good atmosphere, and it was still the last of the old school era. We had a lot of good young players, but we had a player by the name of Damien Harris who was a great old school player, successful at Rochdale for many years, at the end of his career, but he was superb that year. I remember without fail, every session on the Thursday, the bars open in the club, and he'd have his 2 beers and then shoot off home to the wife and kids. But yeah, he was proper... That old school. Yeah, without fail in the bar every Thursday.
One of my fondest memories of Damo is him cooking bacon in Byron Bay, just telling war stories in his jocks, just bullied me and Batty into going down to the shop to get bacon. It was about a 4-kilometre walk.
You see, my memory of Byron Bay is not as pleasant as yours, because I think you probably remember
the backslaps.
The backslaps in the pool. Oh. So I remember coming late because I think I can't remember what happened. I think a family member from the UK had just arrived, and so I turn up to the biggest stitch up in history.
Yeah, that was a good
They're all in the pool drunk, and we were in, and they said, "Oh, you got to play this game. The rules are shit. The rules weren't clear."
It was keepy ups, wasn't it?
Keepy ups, but like
CUNT maybe.
It was it was keepy ups, and then if you lose best of 3, you get backslapped, and it was like I was getting stitched on every serve, and it was a stitch up. I remember. What I do remember is for a week after, my back was red raw. I had blood coming out of my back.
You bled, but Rados was saying, "Where's Rados? Is he Serbian?"
He said it was worse than the war.
Worse than the war. He's just screaming, going, "This is worse than the war."
To be fair though, Rados, I think he's half Croat, half Serbian. So he wakes up wanting to punch himself in the head every morning. So he was good value on that trip. Yeah. But I walked away from that trip in a lot of pain.
Worth it. Went back.
Yeah. No, it was as you do. End of season trips are good fun, but I think that's the last one I've been on as a coach actually.
Did you then go to strikers as a player?
Yeah, so I was 25 when I took that role. I didn't know what I really wanted to do, and I did it with Giggles, Scott Higgins, and it was a great experience. But he was looking to get back into the A-League as well, and I think Gold Coast United around the time I think took him on, and I kind of felt like, I need to be playing still, give it a crack. So I went to the Strikers under Stuart McLaren and got back to playing again, which was a good year. It was a good experience. I quickly figured out, though, after that year, my groin was never going to be the same. I think I had a trial at Gold Coast United, but I think by day 3, the intensity of professional training was already starting to pull on the groin. So, I think I knew then. I wasn't disappointed. Because I knew that I then probably had to look at coaching as an option for me if I wanted to be involved long term in the game.
Correct us if I'm wrong. You went to Power as a player initially?
I
under
did.
TK?
Terry Kirkham, yeah. Myself and Scott McNichol left the Strikers, and it was a tough thing to do because it was a great bunch of boys, and Stewie was a fantastic coach. But I mean, the reality at the time, the QSL was just shit.
Yeah.
You know, it was just bad.
2 or 3 big games a year, and then the rest were.
Yeah, like it was just. My decision was made when we were playing Bundaberg. I remember we played Bundaberg Spirit, and we were 8-0 up, and it was up against this 40-year-old man in the midfield, and he was trying. And it was like, this is not. I can't do another season like this.
Yeah.
So, sad that I left the Strikers at the time because it was my second time there, and I really loved it. But yeah, I just felt like I didn't want to do that again. So, could have gone to a couple of clubs. Nearly went to Rochdale. Something didn't feel quite right about that, and ended up going to Powell with Scotty.
Yeah. And loved it up there.
Yeah, I did.
I remember we had chats probably during maybe your last year. I think I'd have been coaching somewhere. We would talk, and you would always talk glowingly about the club, the people behind the scenes, and whatnot. So that's probably played a huge part in why I eventually ended up there.
Yeah.
Because of all the good things I'd heard, and it mainly came from him and Scott McNichol. Yeah,
I think the club's. I said I had fond memories at East, and I do, and I love going back there and seeing some of the familiar faces. But from the moment we went to Peninsula, you could just sense it was a community. It was unlike anything I'd experienced in terms of the people that run it, and then the support up there. And I really enjoyed my time from start to finish there.
Yeah. So talk us through the achievements up there. 2 grand final wins.
Yeah, two grand final wins. Yeah, and a cup, Canale Cup. Yeah, I think that was it. So, club championship. I think we won.
That was it, yeah.
I think we won the club championship, and that was pleasing because that was our last year. So I thought we'd left the club in a pretty good shape.
Yes.
We had Gordon Tulloch in, and we had some performing 18s, 20s, and our first team won the grand final when we actually left.
Yeah.
And that was they were just good times. It was a good bunch of boys. It was special games, the big games that you remember the most because you came out on top in them. I think especially the semi-final of the Canale Cup up there against Wolves. That was just, even now I just feel physically drained thinking about it. It was
like 5-1 or something, or was that?
No, that was 3-2. That was the one that went viral with the Cato elbowing into them with Luke Gorsey. Yeah. Yeah, look, I was complaining. I went off at the ref. I thought it was fine, and then I saw the replay, and it was a proper coat hanger.
Yeah, they got yellow, didn't he?
You got a yellow. Yeah.
Fair.
He loved the challenge, Gorsey, though.
Luke was tough as nails.
Big boy.
I think
hammering me back in the day.
Yeah.
He'd let you know about it too.
People thought he was fat, but he's just solid as a knot. He was just all muscle. He was a stocky little bugger.
I'd be like on the wing or whatever. I'm a little bloke, and when I was quick, it's like the centre backs aren't quick. It's like, yeah, but you can't get past this guy. I think it was him and Garva.
And Garva was quick. Garva's a similar body build. People thought they were slow, but biggest calves ever. Just
some of the best defenders I've played against.
Yeah,
easily.
They were. That was a good team. They were good. We had Ryan Love and even Butters, and that was before the Welsh Wizard came. But when he did, Curlin Hurlin.
Furigal would have been there.
Furigal, yeah. No, it was a good team. It was a good team, and that was under TK. And then when we took over, we sort of when TK left, and we took the player coaching role. We had the same players, and then we got Richie Hurlin over from Wales, and then he became the second best left foot at the club in the history.
Little cameos off the bench for yourselves.
Yeah, I played a lot actually, more than Scotty. Yeah. Scotty, he picked up a few injuries. He was still probably fitter than me, but he got injured more than me. So, I played quite a bit actually.
I think you're still, because we get the stats. Our team manager Dave Wells does the stats every week. Like games, goals. They're only still 4th or 5th highest games in Peninsula Power history in top flight. Yeah,
didn't top the running stats though.
Lucky they didn't have GPS.
No, that wouldn't suit.
He's still right up there.
Yeah,
and I think he's still in the top 7 or 8 for goals. He's still quite high up on that.
Yeah, no, I scored a few.
You'd be on pens, would you?
All right.
Were you on pens?
Yeah, no, I was on pens.
Cutting down.
Free kicks, corners.
Yeah.
Didn't get him past.
I was on pens. I missed a pen there at Power. That was quite funny. That was the best story when we the Mark Dykeman story. I got to tell it. It's the best story ever. We had beat them 6-0, and he'd come out and said that they.
Actually,
I
remember this.
He'd said they dominated us, and that was talking about I couldn't see Igor San Jose and this third man runs, and they outplayed us, and
Lost 6-0.
They lost 6-0, and I missed a pen, and I think we missed about 3 or 4 1-on-1s. I think we had like 28 shots on goal in that game, and I still don't know how he, in his mind, thought that they were outplayed. They had, I think, a decent spell in the first 15, and it was literally, in the end, it could have been anything, and I stepped up for the 7th and skied it over the bar, and didn't mind because we won. Yeah, but to be fair, I still remember that game for Mark's comments after.
I think there's a running joke at Power then, because every time we play against a team with Igor in,
where's Igor?
Rich will say, just watch his third man run.
I still get that to this day from Scotty. We might be out at the bar. He goes, "Where's Igor?" So I don't know. So yeah.
So from Power, you go to Lions, and was that 4 years?
5 years at Lions.
5 years.
Yep.
Fantastic 5-year period. Pretty much won everything bar the national.
Yep.
The National Premier League.
National, NPL thing. Yeah.
Superb. So when you went in, was there a rebuild job, or was it pretty much already there?
Yeah, look, they were back, certainly from where they were.
Yeah.
I was there for the A-League. Then the split happened, and then they were a week from going. Not many people know this, but Lions were a week from going under and getting turned into a rugby league club. So, there were some really good people at that club at that time. Hank and Ben Molly and Brian Evans that just kept the club afloat, and they did the rebuild. And Graham Ross came in and did a great job getting them back up into the BPL.
Yeah.
And then so I think Graham wanted to step down, and he sort of approached me about taking over. And I know the club were ambitious to sort of get back to where they felt they belong. And that was, I guess, my mantra from them. And the rest is history, I guess.
So were you and Scott always going to leave, or because I know Scott and you'd left at the same time?
We were always
going to do it your own way.
I think we both had young families.
Yeah.
And we loved the club at Power, and the only reason we left Power was because of the travel. And I had a young family, and so did he. And his club is Rochdale, and they came knocking, and so to be fair, he started he left, and then I followed. So he left, and it got me thinking. The drive is a big drive. It was a big commitment at the time. So and then Lions approached me, and I was actually going to have a year off. I was actually not going to do anything. I promised my wife for 10 years a trip to Croatia, which did happen, but which is why I missed the FFA Cup game against Perth, because I was actually planned to have a year off. I'd booked a holiday, and then Graham came calling, and couldn't turn Lions down really. I thought about it for a bit, but I just knew it was too big an opportunity being a former player. So
you won the league first year.
Yeah, we won the league, the Canale Cup first year, and we got to the round of 16 at the FFA Cup.
And then lost
the grand final
to
Power.
Yeah. I think I remember that was maybe just a game too far at the time, and you had a lot of FFA Cup.
Yeah, I think. Look, I missed the grand final. I was in Croatia, and I had two things I could have done. I could have been on the emails and saying do this, do that, but I trusted Darren. The messages were coming from Darren that the boys were on their feet. They were knackered. I think by all reports, they won the Canale Cup quite comfortably against Pine Rivers, but they were flat and they didn't play well. And I think they were even lucky to win the semi-final. Was it East? I think, possibly East.
Yeah, I think we shit the bed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you shit the bed
twice in that final series, but
there's a shot. He's choking.
Second
all right, Byron.
Well.
Yeah. So I didn't see it, but again, I heard we were flat, and we were probably lucky. And it sounds like it was
not as flat as we were. But.
Yeah,
it was a pretty shit game actually from memory, but anyway.
So I think, you might be right, but I couldn't comment. I wasn't there. I didn't see it, and I've never watched it back. What's the point?
Yeah.
So, one game too far, but it didn't take away the fact we had a good season. The only thing I dispute, and I still dispute it now, even in the season just gone, is that I think we finished 12 or 14 points ahead of Power, who finished 4th.
Yeah.
And they were called the champions. And even now, to this day, we still call the grand final winners the champs,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
you know, like I don't give a shit about
Premiers
The
or-
whole minor
last year. Like I don't care. Gold Coast Knights, congratulations to them, but we played 28 games last year.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
came out on top.
Yeah.
If people haven't played in teams that have won the league, you don't know. You don't know the feeling and how hard is the physical, emotional release when you win it. They're the champions,
Yeah.
100%.
and you know, I think they should rename that across the NPL and all the leagues, because winners are the ones that come first, and grand final winners are exactly that.
Yeah.
Your grand final winners.
Yeah.
I think the good thing about the NPL now is that the national stage. So like there's more than just being premiers. Like you get to go and play off against all the other NPL clubs in Australia.
that was
which
our
is-
goal. You know, like this year, especially after being so close the year before, we wanted to be back there. And you know, like you take this year for example, we won the league,
Yeah.
and that was 28 hard games. The league was so tough. And the Olympic finished fourth, and I think they had started resting players 3-4 weeks out of the
Yeah.
season because they knew they couldn't finish any higher, ready for the semi-final, whereas we were going hammer and tongs to win the league. And look, that's not a reflection, you know, they can do what they want, that's
Yeah.
fine, but the best team, in my opinion, wins the league.
Yeah,
And
100%.
to do that over so many games.
I don't think you're going to get any arguments from anyone
No, it's
around
It's a
football.
much bigger honour to come
Yeah.
out on top after 28 weeks than it is to
You're the
win
best
on that
team.
day.
You're the best team through, as you said, 28 rounds plus
And it's
pre-season.
good to win a grand final, obviously, but
Oh, they're brilliant.
it's not.
Yeah.
I would take a league win over a grand final.
Yeah.
The motivation for the teams that don't finish first is to maybe get to the grand final.
Yeah.
Whereas you've won the league, and that's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
You know, so
I've always said grand finals, they only matter if you haven't won the league.
Yeah.
Really? Like
Yeah.
if you
Yeah,
win
exactly.
the league,
Yeah.
that's in the bag.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, it's like, all right, we can still get something out
Yeah.
this year
Yeah.
by winning the grand final. So
Yeah, and I felt that way. I've always felt that way.
Yeah.
When we won the grand final in the year we finished third and Rochdale won the league, I think I even said it then. It was such a good feeling to win the
Yeah.
grand final, but Scotty's boys and Rochdale were the
Yeah.
champs.
Mm.
They were. We won the grand final. We were 4 points not good enough.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
yeah,
So, yeah, that's one for the admin, because I think, you know, even the NPL National final was played between us and Wollongong this year.
I was there.
Yeah, great. I was there too. It still hurts. But both
Couldn't
of those
believe.
teams had won
Yeah.
their respective leagues,
Yeah.
but didn't make the final.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way through. Same as the A League. It's 11 teams and 6 play finals.
Yeah.
It's like,
And you look at the A-League, I mean, there's no question last year Perth Glory were the best team in the A-League
Yeah.
by a long way. And that was over 27 rounds.
yeah, exactly.
They lost on penalties
Yeah.
in the final on
And
a
they're
really
not-
shit
they're not
pitch.
champions.
And they're not champions.
Mm.
You know, like, that doesn't sit with me.
Nah.
Doesn't sit well with me.
yeah.
No, I agree.
Right, so plenty of highs, I suppose. Let's now that we've got a coach on, we'll throw it out there. Best 11 that you've coached. Does it-
That I've coached.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you
Ever.
probably had what 10 years worth of
The go-
coaching.
The
You're
goalkeeper's controversial.
You've just G'd him up before. So.
Goalkeeper is,
Slap him straight back down
the
there.
goalkeeper is a good one. You've had a few.
Yeah,
Look, I have. You know, Reesby's a good keeper. Tommy's a good keeper. Giggles has to be
Excellent.
mentioned, but I'm
Yeah.
not putting Giggles in this lineup because I just wouldn't want to give him a big head. But
it's pretty big.
no, look, it has to be Luke Borean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if
agree.
anyone. I know he polarises people, but I can tell you now, I've
That's-
seen some good keepers. He can play at a high level if he chose to.
Even the
He
Yeah.
just
weekend.
chooses not to.
We were actually talking about this at training on Thursday. It's like if he applied himself, he could. Like he's one guy that you think could play at that next level.
100%. You know.
So nothing seems to phase him. Like as a keeper myself, like you look at him and you can appreciate his skill
His
set,
temperament.
his temperament,
is,
like
10
laid
out of
back.
10.
Yeah,
Because he's ready
Very
for the
calm.
game.
He's
He's
just-
ready
He's
for
a
the
character
game.
too.
Yeah.
It's probably what maybe the A-League needs.
I reckon
somebody
it
like
puts
that.
people off as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think it
Go up
does too.
against him, you know, penalties, free kicks.
Yeah,
I know some
But
people
it's-
think the beanie, I know it was actually in one team last year's team tactics to try and take the beanie off his head because they thought that would upset him. I mean, they clearly
any
don't
more
know the
laid
bloke.
back, he'd be
It's
horizontal.
not-
eh?
like you said, he polarises people, but it's really only because he's a character.
Yeah.
And that's what most people probably like about him.
Oh,
No,
like he's a goalkeeper, so he's already like
Retard.
he's already crazy. Like you know, all goalkeepers are a bit strange, but you know, his warm up
mate.
is his warm up is he doesn't leave the change room until about 25 minutes before kick off. He's got Taylor Swift blaring in the room. He then
I already
goes.
like the
He's
guy.
on the tune.
I already like the
He
guy.
then, he then comes out for a very light warm up, comes in, undresses, has a shower, brushes his teeth. This is like 10 minutes before kick-off, then puts his clothes back on. He's got his superstitions about what goes on what. And
Sounds like my Tinder date.
and he's ready to go. Maybe it was your Tinder date. So like,
I'm all for that.
but I think people mistake the fact that he's that's his personality, but he cares.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I noticed about Luke. He cares.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I tell you what, like in penalty shootouts especially, it's the Luke Borin show. It's not a question of will he or won't he. And I said this to our boys when we were down to 10 men down in Wollongong. Yeah. I said, get us to pens. I said, Luke will do the rest. Yeah. And it was unfortunate. We just broke physically in that last 10 minutes of injury time. But if we'd have got to pens, I've no doubt we would have won that.
He probably would have scored the winner too.
It was a shocking decision. The referee in that game killed us with all the little decisions. No, I don't like to blame refs, but they were really good at making professional fouls, and they didn't get pulled up on it once in that game. Yeah. And that's something in Brisbane we don't see. In Wollongong, in that side, it was a clear directive. Any time we looked to transition or break, they would professional foul. Yeah. And the ref didn't pull it, and then you look at Mitch's second yellow, no different to what they did, and then he got a yellow. So that was my only complaint about the ref.
Yeah. All right, then. Are we playing a back four?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Right,
look,
right back.
I've got so many good ones, and Lovey could be a candidate. Butters at times played there, but Josh Brindle South in the last 3 years is far and away the best.
Yeah.
Has to be in there, and I couldn't leave him out. He's played at left back. He could almost be a case for left back because he's right-footed, but he's done a great job there.
At left back.
Yeah, there's someone else for the left back, and it's not the first best left foot from Power. So, and then you mentioned the centre backs at Power in terms of Gorsey and Todd. They were great, honestly superb, and I played with Todd in the A-League, and he's so reliable. And but if we're talking about what I'm coaching and what they've achieved, and I think we conceded. What was the goals we conceded in that year? Was it 11 or something? Or
11 or 12?
Yeah, 11. So Martier and Tommy.
Yeah,
it's a simple one for me. That they are together as a partnership, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Left back has to be Richard Hurlin.
Curlin
Hurlin. So everyone knows how good he was, still is.
Yeah.
I think the best one was when we played the Raw in the pre-season friendly up at Power, and I think it was Robbie Cruz at the time was young at Brisbane Raw, and Richie just didn't give him a sniff, and then Richie was destroying him the other way. And we lost, I think, in the end 3-0, but Richie actually towed them up. And I won't say who, but one of the Brisbane Raw officials came straight over to me at the end of the game and said, who's the left back or interested in him? I said, his name's Richie Hill and he's Welsh. He goes, foreigner, don't worry about it. Yeah. But
how old would he have been?
27 back then.
So
Richie at 27 in this league was the best.
Yeah, he's the best player I've seen at delivering week in, week out. Around about that time when you had him, just he was like Gareth Bale. He would just drift from left back.
When we played East, were you at East with Alan Hunter?
Yeah.
Remember that 35-yard free kick? Was that when you?
Nah, that wasn't. I wasn't playing then. I think that was Zaybaks.
Yeah, well, that was the best one because it was 35 yards out. And I was actually on the sideline. Scott was on the field that day. Richie's lining up this free kick, and I remember looking over Alan Hunter, him laughing, saying, "You're kidding yourself, big man." And then Richie goes and bangs it in the top corner.
Yeah, I do.
And then
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I just looked over at Alan with a cheeky smile, and to be fair, what could he say?
Don't get me wrong, Richie scored plenty of goals past me, but I don't think that one was me.
Phil yelled out and said, "No, I think just one."
One in the
just
wall.
One,
and
yeah.
I think stood there and going, yeah, righto. And then next minute,
it's just spanked it. Yeah.
Educated left peg, as we were always told
Real
by
player.
Peter Davidson.
Yeah, he yeah, that's true. I think as well, not only did he score many free kicks, but he also did it in big moments as well.
Yeah.
Like, or he was a player for the big moments. Like that first year, he scored some phenomenal goals on our run. We finished third that year, but he scored some match-winning goals. I think Olympic, we were 1-0 down. He scores a free kick with his left against Matty Ham, and then a strike with his right foot, which was rare.
That is rare.
From 25 yards, and we win 2-1.
Goals as well as delivery from corners and free kicks as well from out wide were just, they still are just on point every time, and puts you under the pump that much defending, just relentlessly copping that all the time.
Even just knowing he's stepping up, it's going to be a good delivery.
It's anywhere in your half if you give a free kick away, you just can't be it's like don't foul anywhere in your own half because
Well,
you
that
know
was
how good the delivery will be.
At East, when we played, I think we were 1-1 with maybe a couple minutes left, and someone, might have been Stenhouse, fouled someone just on halfway near the sideline, and we're like, yeah, it could be iffy. Free kick onto, I think it was Matt
Boyd.
No, not that. Power striker. Matt Hornby's head.
Oh, yeah.
Just precision and free header goal. We lose 2-1 in the last couple of minutes just because that free kick was just so perfect. So,
Yeah, he had, he was, next level.
So he's got left back signing up.
Midfield 3.
Good. It's a tough one. Again, I think it's got to go back to the Lions team where I think that midfield 3, I don't think anyone could argue that they've been probably the most dominant in the last 2 or 3 years in terms of not just individually, but as a collective.
Yeah.
I don't think when they're fit and playing at their best, anyone can get near them. I really believe.
Kim,
Danny Kim,
Carlos, and
Sean
Mitch.
Carlos Mitchell.
Yeah.
And if you look at previous teams, I had some good players like Marko Jankovic. I had, for me, if he'd have stayed and, he would have been right in contention. He only had 1 year with him, but the way he played, clever passes into the next line, read the play, did so much good stuff in that role. But only had him for 1 year, and we missed him when he left. But that midfield 3, I don't think anyone gets near that.
Yeah. Front 3. 2
Front
wide
3.
men.
Yeah, it's only as good as the teams I've had at Lions. I always manufacture the striker. I think up until even now, the last year I left, Duckworth was again transformed into 9. Marek, we had for 1 year, did very well. Diaz was not really a 9. We turned him into a 9. So we always seem to sort of manufacture our front players. But through that, I think there's one guy I've had, for the 5 years at Lions and then a couple of years at Power. I love him and I hate him, and he's like the most boring man in football. But Michael Butters has to go onto the right. He's just so reliable. You can stick him anywhere. Up front as a 9, right, left, right back, left back. Anywhere where you don't need to use your skill, he could play.
Yeah.
And he just scored goals. He set up goals. He pressed. He just fitted everything in terms of our team model.
Yeah.
So well. So.
Did you play with him at Strikers?
Yeah, had him at Strikers as well. So didn't talk to him then. He was very young, so barely spoke a word. But that's where I first met him, and he'd have to make the side.
He'd be on the right hand side.
Right hand side, and then left. It's for me. Well, it's an easy one. It's Jordan Loudon.
Yeah.
Yep.
The impact he had. Was he only here 1 year, 1.5 years? The impact he had in that season was phenomenal. So you talk about Richie. Well, Jordan was former Scottish under-19 international. Played for Celtic. Came out here for an opportunity. Players with skill don't tend to get opportunities in the lower leagues in the UK, and he wanted a lifestyle change, and that was back when you could get a bargain for a player and not spend through the roof, and I certainly got a bargain out of him. But he just lit up the league, and even now I think left back, left wing, plays on the 10, sweet left foot. He'd probably make the left side.
And centre forward.
Yeah, I've had some good ones.
Graham.
Ali Graham has to be there. Yeah. Because Ali is the best finisher. I mean, I've played with some good finishers. The best finisher I ever played with was a guy called Stephen Dobby.
Yeah.
He's had a very good career. He was a phenomenal finisher. But Ali, locally and what I coached, he was just ruthless.
23 and 15 for Power.
Yeah.
Weren't you going to send him to us at one stage at East?
Was I?
I think so.
No, I don't think that's correct.
No, I think it was correct.
Look, he was
until you saw him train.
That might be true, actually.
I'm pretty sure it's true.
Yeah.
I may have made it up.
So he came across from Scotland.
He came from Scotland. No, he was backpacking.
Okay.
So he was backpacking, and he knew someone. He knew Jordan.
Out of nowhere,
so he came and trained with us. And funny story, Scotty didn't rate him on the first night. I'll take credit for this because I thought straight away this guy's like back to goal, and he was excellent with his back to goal, turn, swivel, could shoot, score. He was a player.
One session you knew straight away.
After that session,
Which is tough for him. He's come out here backpacking. Probably doesn't know what he's going to get up to.
Well, it took 4 weeks to get him clear, so we only got him in the back end of that season, and then he scored against everyone. he got a back injury before he left, but the amount of goals he scored and the ratio, the Scottish Sun found out how well he was doing out there, and then there was a big story in Scotland, so that's why he ended up going back, and I think he signed a pro deal back over in Scotland, and he regrets it now, I think, because it was he was more suited to Australia. I think if he'd kept staying here, you never know with the A-League clubs. They're reluctant to give foreigners who are in the local league an opportunity, but he was some striker.
All right, we'll touch upon the current state of play now that you're kind of out of it. You're no longer involved, so MPL and QPL, so predominantly MPL. How do you see the league going this year?
I think it's good. It's exciting. It's the first year I'm going into a season where I've quite relaxed. There's no butterflies in the stomach thinking about week to week and games, but from what I can see, the right teams got relegated, and then stronger teams have come up. So it's going to be tough every week, and I'm looking forward to seeing how not just the top teams compete, but obviously now I'm at the Raw to see how the young boys go in the comps. So it's going to be exciting. I think I think Lions still, they're so consistent, and they've got a lot of continuity about their squad. They're going to be good. Powers strengthened for me where they needed to. Gold Coast Knights are obviously got the resources and the ability to strengthen them. They've lost a couple, but their front five is scary. And Olympic would be there and thereabouts as well.
You obviously got through all of the success you've had with Lions, you got a move to the Raw, a fantastic opportunity, and I think that the general feeling amongst the footballing public is that people are glad that you've got the chance because you'll engage with the community and whatnot. Is there any coaches that you think are next cab off the rank from Brisbane? The ones that you would think.
It just depends on what context you're talking. So, I've obviously done very well. If you're going purely on trophies and things and success in terms of senior men's level, and not everyone judges success by just that. There are good coaches that might judge success differently, but if you talk about senior football, I think you need to, if you're looking to be a head coach to move or progress yourself, you've got to win things because the A-League is a winning league. So if you want an opportunity in the A-League, there's no development there. So how can you show a future employer that you could be the right fit for that club if you can't win in your own state? And I think you need to be winning trophies and then showing what you can do consistently year after year to do that. Now, I'm one of many. If you look at Victoria, Johnny Anastasiadis has been successful for many years, and he's had to take a second assistant role. So it's really tough for, even if you are successful, to necessarily go in and take a head coaching role in the A-League. Mark Rudin, but he was successful at Sydney, and he's done well.
Behind him.
And he's played as well. So that's great to see from a local perspective. It's good to see that someone that does go into the NPL gets an opportunity. But as you can appreciate, it's rare. It's not right or wrong. It's just how it is. You've got to look at it from a club perspective. Look at it from a Brisbane Raw perspective. I'm delighted to get the role I got. Really am. I know there was a lot of talk at the time about going for a proven coach, an overseas coach, or a local coach, but they've had a pretty average year last year, and the next 18 months for the club, it'll shape where they are, supporters, engagement. You need bums on seats in the A-League to run at less of a loss. So I think the Robbie Fowler decision was a great one, if I'm honest, because it adds to the profile, and I think they're doing well. I really do. From where we were last year, defensively we're organised, we're starting to build. I think it's been a good move.
Good results recently.
Yeah, there's always going to be a case of when those results start coming, things will change, and the engagement from the locals is back there already.
Yeah, we're trying, and that was part of what I wanted to do, because I obviously have felt it. I was in the community. I felt what you guys all feel about the lack of engagement. So we're certainly trying to improve that. It doesn't always work. Some clubs still want to, or a little bit resistant to that. But for me, I just keep working with them. We'll keep handing out the olive branch and want to work closely with these clubs, because it's the only way. We're the only A-League club in the state. it's our responsibility to work closer and engage our stakeholders. And I've worked pretty hard in the short space I've been in there to try and do that, because I think it's important.
Having someone from that NPL league and everybody already knows you, it's obviously going to make it a lot easier, as opposed to getting somebody that
Doesn't
I know
know.
somebody who knows who to go to, and which clubs are the ones that you need to engage with first, and that's
get
like
them
a
on
snowball
board
effect on it.
Yeah, you know, like I've said this to many people, including my boss, but you know, I'm a big supporter of the NPL and local talent. I really am, and not just local Queensland talent. And there are people that think NPL players can step up in the country, and there are people that don't think they can. They think the gap's too big. I'm on the side that players can step up if given an opportunity. They can step up, and I think there's nothing more powerful than playing for your own state, or the engagement with the fans, the community. I mean, you saw it when Dylan came on a few weeks back in the game. He scored the goal. Yeah, you felt it. I was in the stadium. You felt the crowd, and you know, when he scored and he kissed the badge and he ran to the sideline, you just know what it means to him. And I know Dylan well, so I know it means a lot. He gets to play in front of family and friends every second week. It's great to see, and hopefully in the future we'll see more of it. Because
the frustrating thing is when they recycle players that haven't been good enough for multiple teams, and then they end up at Raw, and you just there's no engagement for us to want to go and watch them. You'd rather get someone plucked out of the NPL that's doing well consistently and go and
be
watch them.
rewarded for their consistency.
Exactly.
And
No, I think
Exactly.
we
There's more
spoke
pride there as well from them.
Yeah, we spoke about that, I think, on an earlier episode as well. Was when there was that tough period where the Raw weren't winning. The shining light was whenever Dylan played, because he was local and people could relate to him, and it was the same thing. And now the results are coming. He's played more, and it's like straight away, it's turnaround. Yeah.
But it's my job now to push the next Dylan, from our academy or from outside.
Just take a few from Lions.
Yeah, who do we like?
Take as many as you want.
Any names you can toss up?
No, it's not for me to say. I think you guys see what's going on around locally. There's some good young players in our academy, doing well. We've had some players that have done really well in training, but it's not for me to say. That's for the boss. That's for the first team to say.
In pretty good hands anyway. Like, we played the Raw Youth on Tuesday night, and the way they play, a few people have said it, but it's the best Raw Youth team that I think there's been ever.
Sharp,
the way they play, it was like you said, the continuity. When you said about Lions is. It didn't matter. They had, I think, one boy went down injured early, and they made a couple of changes, and nothing changed in that shape in that team. It was just.
Look, it's one thing that I again, because I've seen it on the other side, and I think most people felt when you play the Raw, they'll be good on the ball, but they'll have a soft underbelly, and you'll eventually win the game.
3 point sort of thing.
We want to change that. We want to be tougher. We want to be harder to beat, and Chris has certainly got them a lot tougher, a lot harder to beat. We still want to play our way. But we want to stand up and be counted, because we've said to the boys, and the message is all the way through, if you can't be the best player week in, week out in the local league, how do you expect to also yourself get a contract in the A-League? And if you think you're above it, you're going to find yourself out of this level, especially with us. These boys know they have to perform. So you guys are a good side. Capalabar's a good team. East will be a good team. We got Lions this week, a great test. If anyone thinks that's beneath them in our academy, well, not the kind of players we want. We want those players week in, week out, performing to the best, and we want you guys to say, wow, wasn't Keegan Yelich good today, or
which he was.
Which he was. But
do you find, like, with those boys coming through, like, obviously they can play, have you found like you need to try and teach them to win as well, like having come through like a
I think we just changed the environment. So we've gone through a whole cultural change at the club. We've had culture sessions, with certain companies. We talk about what's important to us. Standards and expectations are now big. I think when you set that environment and you talk about where they want to get to and what we want to achieve with them as coaches, I think that starts to create a winning environment, changes the mindset. We don't put any limitations on what they can and can't do. We don't say this is what we want you to achieve points-wise, or do this, or do that. No, we want them to be mentally tough. We want them to be good in all aspects of the game. So far, we're getting that from all the academy teams. We haven't got it right yet. People can still say we're maybe not all the best players at the Raw, but that's okay. Because again, part of what I'm doing with the community is saying that it is okay. we're not arrogant enough to say we've got the best coaches all working for us. There's great coaches in NPL land.
Well, everyone's got different opinions as well. You know, what
That's
you
right.
see in a player, some others don't. So
And we can't get it right all the time.
No.
There's not a club in the world that gets it right all the time. And there's nothing wrong with someone else's development pathway being outside of the raw and then proving a point for Capalaba, and we're like, oh, wow, let's look at this boy. That could be the pathway for him, and that's okay.
Still time yet, Dusty.
Yeah, I'm 28 this year.
You'll be right, mate.
You got a chance.
One day.
That overage spot.
Thanks, mate.
But well, look, I know that you've got a game to get to. You got some tickets to hand out.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
Wanna
tickets,
thank you
by the
for
way.
coming in on a Saturday on a work day.
Well, yeah, workday.
Fascinating chat as always, and this should be out in a few days' time. So
Brilliant.
yeah,
Beautiful. Gets to work.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Xander
having me,
pulls his
boys.
finger out.
Cheers.
Cool, no worries.
Cheers,
And
mate.
good
Thanks,
luck this
Warren.
year.
Thanks.
Good
Thanks.
luck.
This is not just a dream, it's a wet dream of orgasmic proportions that belong